I'm going to begin just by asking, I mean, I was reading that you had this idea when you were a child yourself, and I was wondering if you just knew from a very young age if you were going to be a storyteller or someone who worked in a sort of creative industry one day.
I was always good at writing stories. I was terrible at maths, awful at physics. Anything that required remembering anything I was terrible at, but making up nonsense. Yeah. I was the man, the boy, the child.
But good nonsense, though. Because, I mean, your films have got a real kind of sense of adventure about them, and also obviously getting involved in Tintin and Ant-Man. It seems that you really get drawn to films that just have a kind of unwavering commitment to entertainment. Do you see that as being what you're always going to do, or can you see a sort of a drama in you one day, perhaps?
I don't know. They're always the films I loved most, are the entertaining ones. Like one of my formative trips to the cinema was to see Raiders of the Lost Ark at the ABC in Streatham. And in those days, you just could go into the cinema at any point. So I came in towards the climax, just as he was about to open the Ark, and I figured out enough to know that I had to keep my eyes closed. So I kept my eyes closed, just like Indiana Jones, and didn't look at what happened when they opened the Ark, and then went all the way through the movie again. So that felt like such pure entertainment, and such interactive entertainment, that I always wanted to make a movie as good as that one day, maybe.
And of course, this is your second film in a row that you've been directing sort of kids in the leading role. I mean, obviously, they must bring about a real, because I've always found that people on film sets, I guess if we've been doing this for a long time, it becomes a bit of a job. But seeing that kind of sense of enthusiasm that they bring to it must be a great thing to have on set. But there must be challenges as well, as I assume, particularly when you had to shoot a huge battle sequence when there was like 100 kids.
Yeah, well, the challenges are mainly in terms of the hours that you can use them for, because they're very limited, the amount of time in front of the camera they need to do, and then they need to be educated and all that kind of stuff. So it makes your day very short, and it means you have to work very hard. But you're right, it changes the atmosphere on the set, makes it like a big adventure for everybody. It means all the adults on the set have to raise their game and be nice and polite and friendly. And I hope that energy permeates the finished movie as well. But yeah, directing big battle sequences, well, it was pretty good actually. They're pretty... in some ways, they're more used to being shouted at by adults than other adults are.
Yeah. I just know it was a school trip that I was never privy to, but I would have loved to have done that. But I was wondering too, because obviously I've been on film sets as well, where you've seen, there is a sort of kid in the lead role, there's sort of, the parents might be on the kind of sides, kind of a bit anxiously watching, it's a bit of a new experience for them. But when you've got the kid of Lorraine Ashbourne and obviously Andy Serkis, that must have been quite good in the sense that they know the industry inside out, and they I guess in some ways that would have given you a lot of trust to kind of make the film you wanted to make without kind of getting too heavily involved, I suppose.
Yeah, well, Andy's an actor and a director. And in fact, he's directed Louis before, because Louis was Boot in his movie of Mowgli. Yeah. So yeah, he was an ally to have on set. He was totally unobtrusive. It would be either Andy or Lorraine there chaperoning Louis. And yeah, they're just really lovely, friendly people. He's had a long career as well, Andy. He started in the theatre. So he's not, even though he could be, he's not starry at all. He understands how hard work it is. So yeah, it was brilliant.
Because there are some great performances from the younger members of the cast. And I was wondering, obviously, you can be accredited with the birth of John Boyega, who's become a sort of global sort of phenomenon with the whole Star Wars franchise. Do you get a sort of sense of pride? Whenever I used to sort of go back to see my old primary school teachers, and they'd look really disappointed in me. But I mean, it must be the sort of opposite in that.
Yeah, I emailed John the whole time, and he's a good friend, and it's amazing to have given him that first little launch pad. And it adds an extra just layer to the experience of making a movie if you're giving an opportunity to people while making it. And I really like movies where I don't necessarily recognise the actor as well, because I really believe them in that role. That's what I like about foreign movies. I really believe the actors are the characters. So there's lots of pluses.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the things I used to love most when I was a kid growing up was watching films where the heroes were the kids. I mean, I think it was the Sandlot kids I used to watch, and then there was obviously Home Alone, and then obviously the Goonies and films like that. What were your sort of favourite films growing up? You've obviously mentioned Indiana Jones, but have you got any others that really kind of, you think, inspired you to be the filmmaker you are today?
Well, the formative one that not many people have seen is called The Black Stallion. That was the first movie I saw alone in the cinema. It's about a kid that's shipwrecked and washes up on a desert island with a horse, and they form a friendship, and then he takes the horse back to his home in America, and they end up riding in this amazing race at the end. That was, I think, one of the best children's films ever made, and the first movie I saw alone, and had a big effect on me. But yeah, modern movies For kids, often superhero movies, often animated movies. They're usually franchises or based on a toy or something. And the sort of movie that we liked when we were growing up, where it was a movie for kids, starring kids, has sort of disappeared a little bit. So it's nice to do that kind of thing again. And
just finally, I'm just wondering what you've got sort of lined up or coming up in the pipeline. Hopefully we won't have to wait another sort of number of years for the next director.
I hope so. I hope we can do it faster. I've got quite a few things sort of ready-ish, a couple of scripts, but at the moment I'm thinking about a holiday, a 2-week holiday, the first one in 5 years.
Starting straight after this interview.
I cannot wait for it. Obviously, I'd love this interview to go on forever. I have to say, we're talking very fast.
Yeah.
You speak very fast, I talk very fast. This is a good way of packing a lot of information.
I've got through 15 questions.
That's good. Yeah. That's good. Good use of time.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks. Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey